Hello everyone, this is Dr. Pete again, and I got an email call. A student was having issues, emailed and then called me about finding sources. And so this video is more about macro level sources and micro level sources, and everybody has different ways to describe it. So just hold tight. It's okay. It's not that there's these terms that have to be lock solid. For example, they'll talk about primary versus secondary. A primary source is something that is original and maybe, for example, a study was done and that's a primary source. It's new information. They created it. Secondary may be something that's analyzed it or pulled from that and made some discussion about it. So that's the first thing to note. But the more importantly is like when someone does a paper, especially like in business or maybe something that doesn't have a lot of information. I have this all the time. Students will say, well, I want to do it on my company. And I'm like, well, just remember, you have a smaller company, it's not going to be analyzed as much, so you might not find sources readily, except for maybe a website, which they make. That's a little self-serving. It could be a good source. Personal communications from there can be good, but you're going to be limited. Whereas a larger one, company like Amazon, Walmart, just fill in the blanks, they may have lots of sources, and those are okay because they've been analyzed. So you have macro, meaning the bigger theories of, like say government, business, whatever. Then you have the micro, meaning specific to something. So if I'm doing a bigger company, like I used to work at Amazon.com, I may sit there and say, okay, I have personal communications. I have a lot of micro level information. There's also studies on it. So there's a lot of micro level information. I can really lay a paper out very well or extremely detailed on that level. Having said that, I've had people do churches, yard services, smaller businesses. They don't have that. So then I tell them you need to go to the next level, which is macro level. What's the theory of business? How does this business concept relate in general? And then you can sit there and apply that to your company. So there are two different techniques, and both of them can add a lot of value. One obviously is going to have both micro and macro. One's going to have limited micro and more macro. And so if you have a business leadership concept, for example, and you bring that in, then you can relate that to whatever smaller entity or not so known or researched entity or organization. That would be one method of doing that. So for example, I may sit there and say, okay, I'm going to talk about a small company I run, and here's a little bit from the website, here's a little bit from personal communications, but here's a leadership concept from a known author. We'll just say Smith, and then we put Smith's work in there, and then we relate that. So whenever you cite, you want to relate that to what you're working, and that could be through your analysis or developing personal communications, things like that. So you're not lost with it, but understand each of them have a different perspective, concepts, and ideas, and that you can use one to offset the other. So you just have to understand that. Libraries only have so much. If a new concept comes out, sometimes you have to go with a website over the library because it's just not been studied, written, processed, peer reviewed, things like that. So those are things that you need to look into, and before you pick a topic, do you have enough information to actually do the paper or the assignment? And that's a real consideration. So having said that, hopefully that addresses that issue, and if you need any more help, always feel free to drop me a line. Thank you.